This is a special edition of WeatherScope, live coverage of Winter Storm 96.
Good morning. We are live in the Weather Channel Forecast Center as we continue to update you on the latest round of winter weather in the Northeast. Looks like a never-ending saga here of snow once again. And really, it doesn't matter if it's going to be a big event or small event. The fact that we're going to get more precipitation in the megalopolis as they continue to clear out from the blizzard of 96 is the problem through here. Let me show you what's going on currently and why I think it's going to be a factor once again today as we take you into Washington and Baltimore. Some very heavy snow coming down right now in that area, and this is all heading up toward Philadelphia. We talked to Bill Keneally just last half hour, and he just started to see the snow increase there, and I'm sure it's starting to come down even heavier as we speak. And it looks like the leading edge of the snow is just about north of Philly now, over through Johnstown and back north of Pittsburgh. But all this here that you see is not quite reaching the ground yet. But will it? Will it as we work our way on in time? And someone to check that out for us a little bit later on this morning is our very own Jill Brown, who has not yet left New York City. Jill, are you getting used to the weather in New York?
Actually, we are. I spent a few days up here and you get used to it, but I tell you, a lot of folks would like to head south at this point. As you can see here, things are getting a little more active. Behind me is Central Park West, and you're looking down towards 8th Avenue and Columbus Circle. We're back to bare pavement again after a few days where folks were cross-country skiing down some of the major thoroughfares here in Manhattan. But still, a lot of snow left, as you can see, on the side banks here along the roadways, and that's still causing a problem. All remnants of the blizzard of 96.
Chicago and Indianapolis and down into the mountains last night. Asheville, 8 inches of snow. Up into Beckley, West Virginia, they got 6 inches of snow. Here is the current analysis. We have our upper level low with a surface reflection back in here. Here's the new surface low around Cape Hatteras now, and this thing is going to act like one big pump and take all the warm, moist air from the ocean and pull it inland. And the new analysis is being drawn now, and it appears that our coastal front is actually more up and through here. So that warm air is very close to coming on shore. And this will be kind of a tough call today because we're going to watch what we think is going to be an all-snow situation in Washington and Philadelphia for you folks. But up in New York City, where we're closer to the water, as well as into Boston, we may mix in. But what's interesting about the situation when you forecast it is this. When you have warm air coming in or close to coming into the coastline, you also have to compete against what is going to be incredible vertical motion or rising air, and that sometimes is enough to compete or shut off the warm air from getting inland, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at all because of the snowpack. That may keep that coastal front offshore today. Interesting weather this morning around Patuxent River and over across into South Delaware and into southeastern Maryland. Some very, very heavy snow coming down right now. It's just missing D.C. and Baltimore, but what looks like almost thunderstorms developing here, you can see it even clearer, more clear on the Doppler, is actually very heavy snow, and this is pushing up into Delaware and Maryland. So they're getting snow at 1 to 2 inches an hour there, and this is all heading up the coastline. This is the kind of weather we're going to deal with. A quick hitter, 4 to 8 inches, a little less as you go toward the coast, a little more as you head inland, but by tomorrow morning, folks, it's going to be all said and done. Are we going to be talking about a January thaw afterward? Well, let's go ahead to the studio and ask Marnie.
This is a special edition of WeatherScope, live coverage of Winter Storm 96.
And good morning. Thanks for tuning into the Weather Channel as we continue to update you on the latest round of winter weather in the Northeast. Yeah, this is going to be the blizzard of 96. We never said it was, but it is going to cause some problems in the big cities for your ride home on Friday. After that, we'll talk about a more serene weather pattern, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Let me show you what's going on now, and then we'll actually go to a location where they are getting it, so to speak. You can see the heaviest snow this morning pushing up through Washington and Philadelphia now, and this is just going to ride right up through New York and into Boston. The only fly in the ointment here is there's some pretty warm air just off the coast, and some of that may come in and change over and at least bring some sloppy ice into the northeastern cities too. We're very, very close to it. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. It's a pretty clear-cut forecast in Boston or Philadelphia and Washington. It looks like it's going to be all snow there, but New York and Boston is going to be a little more difficult. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Well, joining us in Philadelphia, we have our very own Bill Keneally, and Bill's going to be talking to us about what's happening there and how that's changed within the hour. Good morning, William.
All right, thank you, Jim. Good morning, everybody. Here we are at Ice Station Zebra, a.k.a. the Northeastern Corridor. And, Jim, last night we had a nice offshore flow. Today we have a stiff northeast wind blowing, our snow coming in horizontally. And you can see behind me the visibility on the Ben Franklin Parkway getting down to about a half a mile now. It's amazing. It's 20 degrees. Snow is sticking on contact, as you might imagine, and travel will be very difficult within the hour. There's not a whole lot of traffic out here today. Another snow emergency has been declared, and the schools once again are shut down today. Hopefully we can stay all snow. I think if we were to get a changeover to any kind of freezing rain or rain, that would really cause some hardship here, as the storm drains are nowhere to be found. We would just clog all the arteries.
Yeah, that's a good point. Eddie, have you heard anything at the airport there in Philadelphia? I know Washington National is closed and they're only on single runway operation this morning, but what about up the road a piece in Philadelphia?
Jim, I really do not know. The airport is about 7 miles southeast of here on 95, right on the river. Then they eventually see a bit of a changeover down there as they are right on the Delaware, a little closer to the coast. But nonetheless, it's very cold here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of travel delays in and out of Philadelphia. And the runways there, I'm sure, are still being worked upon, as the snow, even at our hotel room last night, they were taking the front-end loader all night long in our back parking lot. So plenty of work yet to be done.
How high is that snowbank behind you, Bill?
Jim, I'd estimate, as you can see, the cars kind of come and go. They disappear behind the snowbank. I'd guess about 4 to 4.5 feet, but some of the piles here in town are about 2 and 3 times that size.
All right, they may be around till June, too. Thanks a lot for that report, Bill. We'll check back with you in just a little bit. Again, a major storm, a quick mover here, but again, as Bill said, anything, sleet, snow, even a little bit of rain, is going to cause some problems in any of the big cities because they just continue to clean up from the first blizzard. Let's show you what's happened and what we think is going to happen as we go on in time. First stop, storm history. Let's go ahead and show you as we watch the storm pull across Chicago and continuing on southeast. As a matter of fact, we can take you into Chicago and show you exactly what happened there yesterday. Obviously, as the storm system started to develop, the upper level system produced 3 to 4 inches of snow there, and it did cause some slippery travel, as you can see. But folks stocked up. They took heed. They said, all right, I may be in for a couple of days. Let's see what happens with this one. Let's go get the bread and the milk and just enjoy a day inside on Thursday. Today, Chicago gets a chance to clear out just a little bit, but as we mentioned, New York, Philly, you folks, Boston, as well as D.C., have to deal with this storm. Let's see what's happened already, and we'll talk about what's going to happen. Again, storm history showing us again the heavier snow pushing from Chicago right down through Kentucky and in through West Virginia. We've just gotten some reports out of South Carolina, some 6 to 7 inch totals down there. Asheville came in with 8 inches, and now that heaviest snow is starting to pile up as we work our way on north and eastward. Look at the analysis this morning. Shows our coastal front now just blowing inland here, and this means warm, moist air is going to be fed over the top of this warm front. So wherever this sets up, whether it just comes inland or stays just off the coast, whoever is just to the left of that is just going to get hammered. And we're talking about snowfall rates of 2, possibly 3 inches an hour, and that's what's starting to occur now around Washington and also on into Philadelphia as well. The satellite picture showing the dynamic energy there right along the coast. We think some of that's going to come inland as we go on in time, and sure enough, that's going to mean some heavy precipitation. The radar, here's where Bill was. Here's where it's snowing heavily. Washington up to Baltimore. Some very heavy sleet and snow here across western Maryland and Delaware, and even all rain along the coast now down along Salisbury. So a lot of dynamic energy with this storm, and we think it's going to be a quick mover. And once we get into the weekend, some improvements. And there's even talk, folks, of a January thaw. Let's go ahead and see what who's in the studio. There he is, or there she is. Marnie Stanier has to say about that.
Thanks, Thanks a lot, Jim. It's 32 degrees right now in Denver and in the Mile High City. Over the next day or so, temperatures are going to be in the 70s. So some very enjoyable weather in the west thanks to a big area of high pressure. 38 currently in Atlanta, Georgia. No reports of any roadway problems in the metro area. North of the city, though, in Clayton and Gainesville, reports of snow. Drive carefully. 53 currently in LA. Yesterday, a record for folks in Southern California. 89 degrees at the Civic Center. That broke the record of 87 set a couple of years back. There's your current weather picture. A lot of foggy weather. We have a lot of fog trapped in the valleys of the west thanks to the stagnant area of high pressure. We also have strong winds. Pilots, keep this in mind. We've had some reports of some pilots flying out of Billings of some strong winds. There are some intense Chinooks here at all levels, even up to jet stream levels, some very high winds, so keep that in mind. But again, our big story, certainly our winter storm. It's going to be a fast mover. It will continue to track rapidly off to the northeast. Currently 28 in New York City. No snow yet. Just wait. D.C., heavy snow starting to come down. Again, some reports of some problems at the airports. Check ahead.